Police plea, a train station attack on a wheelchair-bound man.
Was pushed. I can only describe that as absolutely disgraceful.
Uncovered the terror plot targeting the Sydney Games. And one step closer, the Bombers book a place in the grand final.
Bombers are through. It'll be the Bombers and the Demons.
7 News with Peter Mitchell.
Good evening. Also tonight, torch anger, another bid to sabotage the Olympic flame. First, a police plea over a cruel attack on a wheelchair-bound man pushed into the path of an oncoming train at Flinders Street Station. The 24-year-old victim suffered serious head and leg injuries after being pulled from the tracks just seconds before the train arrived.
It was just before peak hour when the disabled man wheeled onto platform 4 to wait for his train home to Coburg. He was approached by a young man seen here on station security video. He spoke to him briefly before moving away. Seconds later, he lay on the tracks, still strapped into his wheelchair, conscious but unable to speak because of his disability. Detectives fear he was pushed or knocked directly into the path of an oncoming train.
If it was a deliberate act that the victim was pushed, I can only describe that as absolutely disgraceful.
The train was just 60 metres away. Miraculously, it was travelling at half the normal speed. Hundreds of horrified commuters waved frantically for it to stop. Others, including the man who may have pushed the victim, scrambled onto the railway to assist.
There were so many people that were waving and flagging the train driver, who fortunately, as I say, was travelling at such a speed that he had control.
Tonight, the victim is in a serious condition in intensive care at St Vincent's Hospital. He's undergone surgery for head and leg injuries. Police have appealed for witnesses or anyone with information to contact them. Emma Power, 7 News.
A terrorist plot to attack Australia's only nuclear reactor during the Olympic Games has been foiled. Police in New Zealand revealed the threat after raiding a property in Auckland said to be connected to Afghan terrorist mastermind Osama bin Laden.
Sydney's nuclear reactor in suburban Lucas Heights was apparently the target of a terrorist attack during the Olympic Games. The plot foiled after New Zealand police investigating a people smuggling racket stumbled on the plan.
I think it's an isolated group that have been caught up with very quickly.
In March, police raided a house in Auckland only to find it converted into a command centre.
We found a map of Sydney, which had clearly highlighted on that map was the location of a rather dated nuclear reactor.
Several Afghans were arrested on fake passport charges. Some are still in custody. It's believed they're supporters of this man, one of the FBI's 10 most wanted, international terrorist Osama bin Laden. He's held responsible for the deaths of 200 people in American embassy bombings in Africa.
Australian authorities have been fully briefed by their New Zealand counterparts. The federal government says it believes there is no credible threat to the Lucas Heights facility or Sydney.
I am satisfied that all arrangements that are required to secure facilities like that have been put in place.
Local residents claim there have been 11 previous terrorist threats and they want the reactor shut down for the Games.
Look, everybody worldwide knows that research reactors are terrorist threats.
There is no present plan to close it down during the Games.
If the reactor was blown up, locals say people 80 kilometres around could be affected, including those in every Olympic venue and the athletes' village. Stephanie Kennedy, 7 News.
And Olympic organisers have reacted angrily to yet another attempt to hijack the Olympic flame, this time at Kempsey on the mid-north coast. A 17-year-old boy attacked a female torchbearer, dragging her into a roadside ditch.
This run through Kempsey meant the world to local Debbie Burley. It was a tribute to her dad, who died only a few months ago. But her moment was ruined by a young man on a mission. Debbie wasn't about to let go. The boy dragged her into a roadside ditch and was set upon by torch security police.
A torchbearer has 3 or 4 minutes of a moment that they've been preparing for many months, and we're disappointed that something like that could happen.
The 17-year-old didn't get the torch. He now faces expulsion from school and possible criminal charges. On Thursday, another teenager in the town of Maclean chose to ruin John Dare's run with a fire extinguisher. When the torch was in Brisbane, a group of 16-year-old boys threw water bombs, hitting a police motorcyclist. People signing up today to be Games volunteers were disgusted.
Inhuman would describe it maybe better.
Organisers suggest if the boys want to be involved in the Olympics, they should volunteer.
He would have felt a lot better having a plaque on his wall that he worked for the Olympic Games rather than trying to disrupt it.
Monique Wright, 7 News.
Now to the footy, and preliminary final day brought much relief to Bombers fans. Essendon winning its way into next week's grand final against the Demons, finally erasing the disappointment of last year. Darren Linton has more on the Bombers' big day.
Before any final, there's the preliminaries.
See the Bombers fly up, up.
But not everyone expected a Bombers picnic.
Ready to go?
Who's the ugly bloke in the middle?
Oh, he's our cousin.
It's a cousin. And for different couples, there's sparkles and sparks.
Well, being in a mixed marriage, it's not always real easy. We get by.
It's not easy being in the cheer squad either. While the Carlton clan were praying for a miracle, the Bombers banner was ripped to shreds. And although a bloke called Darren probably had something to do with it, the Blue Boys helped repair Essendon's banner.
They did that to us around 20, our pole broke, and they all came over and gave us a hand, and that's the way we tend to try and work.
But for the predominantly Essendon crowd, that's where the friendship ends. The Bombers out to make amends for last year's 1-point loss against the same team in the same game.
I think they're just well and truly motivated today, and for all us 36,000 members.
Well, they better make the grand final.
I've already booked in for a manicure on Thursday.
And while they watched, their places were reserved in the grand final queue at Colonial Stadium. Melbourne fans could relax, knowing they'll be there for the first time in 12 years.
I hope you're watching.
Darren Linton, 7 News.
And Darren joins us live now from the MCG. Darren, they're already queuing for tickets to next week's grand final.
Yes, well, the earliest I know of is 3 weeks ago. A gentleman turned up at the concert hall queuing for a ticket, and Melbourne members were queuing here last night, but they were all given cards and sent away. Spots are reserved in the queue, and they'll be back in about half an hour to reform the queue for their grand final tickets. Of course, with only 10,000 per club for their members, they won't be easy to get for this match.
And Darren, next week's clash, of course, will be a rare one for two of the league's oldest clubs.
Yes, Mitch, the last time these two clubs met in a grand final, none of the current players would have been alive. It was 1959. Ron Barassi was best on the ground and Melbourne won. So who knows what's going to happen, but it'll be a great match.
Let's hope it's a close one. Thanks very much, Darren. Still to come tonight, a dramatic end to a police pursuit and protest anger. Demonstrators target the Maribyrnong Detention Centre.
Next week on Melbourne's Today Tonight.
Did you do your English?
He's no model student, but this is no model school. This is the school of last resort.
What?
Where some students are out of control and some parents are no better.
Maybe you should roll over and not worry about your job so much and start worrying about the bloody kids.
Plus, instant white teeth.
It's like a new look. I'll be a new woman.
And it's forever.
Let's have a look.
Melbourne's Today Tonight on 7.
I'm here at Hidden Valley to tell you to forget the rest. They're just estates. This is really living. I've seen the rest and they don't come within a bull's roar of this. This is gorgeous. Sure, it may take 5 minutes longer to get here, but when the lifestyle's twice as good, who cares? And with land from just $59,000, that's right, get your jaw off the floor. I said $59,000. What's stopping you? Come out this weekend, sit where I'm sitting. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. Cheers.
Steal away with me far away to a place that's called...
I wonder how the kids are doing.
You want to call them?
Well, what do you think?
Well, let's do it. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Right now, you can't use your camera as a phone. But it won't be long before you can use Nokia phones to make video calls.
Ah! Hello?
I need to be sure my toothpaste will keep my teeth white.
I need to be sure my toothpaste will help prevent tartar buildup. There is a toothpaste that does both. Colgate Sensation Whitening plus Tartar Control.
Its unique double-action formula not only helps remove stains that cause yellowing, it polishes your teeth while you brush and helps prevent tartar buildup.
Now that's not doing things by halves.
Colgate Sensation Whitening plus Tartar Control for whiter, healthier teeth people notice.
If you're one of the 7 million Australians who use phone or internet banking, paying your bills is as easy as can be. Next time you're phone or internet banking, why not pay your bills?
Hidden Valley, a corner of Tuscany, just a few kilometers from Melbourne.
Welcome back. You're watching 7 News. And a high-speed police pursuit from the Mornington Peninsula to South Yarra ended overnight with the arrest of a 22-year-old Laverton man. Stefan Ricky was arrested in Chapel Street after abandoning the allegedly stolen car nearby. All attempts to intercept the driver failed. The police helicopter used to track the car as it approached to the city. Ricky has been remanded in custody to face charges of theft, conduct endangering life and numerous traffic offences. Protesters have called for an end to the mandatory detention of refugees during a demonstration at Maribyrnong today. They shouted their message loud and clear into the confines of the detention centre.
Free the refugees! Free the refugees! As their parents chanted for the release of asylum seekers, children tried to capture the attention of those inside the Maribyrnong detention centre. But their only response was from onlooking police. More than 100 protesters from groups like Amnesty International, Crossworker, Socialist Border and S11 called on the government to change the mandatory detention of asylum seekers.
We're here today because those who are held behind barbed wire are incarcerated without charge, without trial, indefinitely, without the ability to access the courts.
Milki Muhammad braved the audience to tell her story. After fleeing Somalia, she faced 6 months behind these bars before the government granted her refugee status.
We want, detention to be used in incredibly limited circumstances. There are alternatives to detention and that's the message we want to get across.
A peaceful action. Protesters then spent the afternoon playing the world game, soccer. Jennifer Adams, 7 News.
Overseas, and a British judge has been forced to make a life and death ruling on the fate of newborn Siamese twins. He's ruled the 17-day-old girls should be separated despite vehement opposition from the baby's parents. The girls are joined at the abdomen and share a heart and lungs. Doctors say only one of the girls will survive separation, but both will die within 6 months without the operation. And the man credited with injecting some personality into Donald Duck stories has died. Carl Barks drew some of Walt Disney's favourite characters for more than 25 years.
We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Barks, who'd been ill with leukemia, died at his home in Oregon, aged 99. All sport now with Jim Wilson, and Jim, Bomber fans would be saying 2 words tonight: sweet revenge.
They certainly are, Peter. Thank you very much. Essendon is into next week's grand final, ending Carlton's season, beating the Blues by 45 points at the MCG. Almost 85,000 fans watched the Bombers take control in a brilliant third quarter, booting 6 goals to the Blues 1. Matthew Lloyd finished with 4 goals, but Mark Johnson has aggravated a shoulder injury.
A case of deja vu, with Carlton trying to repeat football's miracle, and with their ruck division standing tall up forward and in the middle, it looked a possibility. The Blues appearing to withstand the Bombers' intensity as they went goal for goal.
Kick a goal! Brett Ratton's kicked the second goal for the Blues.
But when Mark Johnson re-injured his suspect shoulder, his teammates took stock, racing to a handy quarter-time lead.
Runs inside the 50. Mark Mercury gets the goal.
The Bombers' skipper kept in prime condition as they began their second-term onslaught, kicking out to a 4-goal buffer. But the Blues came again, thanks to the roving of Hume and the strength of Aaron Hamill, although the class of Long helped the Bombers keep a 21-point half-time lead. They weren't letting this one go, continuing to frustrate the Blues with sheer class.
Almost clean possession. Alessio kicks, how will it bounce? I think he's got the goal.
It left a bitter taste in Parkin's mouth, his side caught out by the number of tricks in the Bombers' bag.
Johnson runs to the 50, needs a finish. Has it got the carry? I'm not sure. Was it touched? I don't think so.
Their confidence clashing head-on with a proud Carlton side. Although the heat soon disappeared, the Blues salvaging all they could, the Bombers saving the best till last as they cruised through to a grand final meeting with Melbourne. Coach Kevin Sheedy's $5 donation helping one lucky fan's bid for a ticket.
I've seen my team had their hearts ripped out twice in Sydney and last year, and so I've seen enough of that.
My future, it's been talked about enough. I'm sure you've been reading newspapers and watching television and you're sick and tired of hearing about David Parkin. Well, I am.
Melbourne hasn't been to a grand final since 1988 and they haven't won a flag since '64. Next Saturday, they'll have an opportunity to break the drought. The Demons were too strong for the Kangaroos last night, winning by 50 points. The Wizard, Jeff Farmer, was sensational, booting 8, but coach Neil Danaher says the job is far from done.
Little fanfare greeted Melbourne's post-match recovery session. A few autograph hunters, a few smiles, but the players generally low-key about their grand final opportunity.
It was good to get over them and force our way into our first, I think it's our first grand final for most of our guys, bar Steve Phoebe.
It's good to get there, obviously, and we're just business as usual, yeah, without not getting too carried away.
With their 98 preliminary loss to the Kangaroos still raw, the Demons were possessed in their rematch.
The Wizard is in town!
Farmer's 8-goal haul complemented by a string of goals from their dynamic midfield, the running unit that eventually wore the Kangaroos down.
The feeling of, making a grand final is exciting. It's obviously the job's only half done.
The Demons escaped with only a few bumps and bruises in their clash against the Kangaroos, providing the perfect start to the grand final week. Now only one game stands in the way of a fairy tale end to their rise from 14th last year.
Pretty disappointed about last year, and now we've got our chance and hopefully we can take it.
The Roos season over, but Craig Shaw's career finishing on a 7-goal high. Tiffany Cherry, 7 News.
So, to the first Saturday in September, and for the first time since 1959, Essendon will meet Melbourne in the grand final. The Bombers haven't won a flag since '93, the D's 1964. And tomorrow, Melbourne's VFL side, Sandringham, will take on North Ballarat at Waverley Park. The opening bounce is set down for 2:10. More sport after the break, including Tigers' incredible form, rolls on in the US. Also, Kathy Freeman shines again in Europe. And that 1,500 metres rematch for a spot in the Olympics.
The facelift.
He has no conscience. He shows no remorse.
Just got a facelift.
I will become him.
Travolta, Cage, trading places, switching faces. The blockbuster premiere. Face Off, Sunday on 7.
I've been with Telstra for about 10 years now. I spend a lot of my time in regional areas. It's a big country and we have a big challenge. Telstra invests every year in upgrading Australian communications. In the last 4 years, we've spent $5.5 billion in regional areas, and that's a massive commitment. We've linked thousands of schools in rural and regional Australia to the internet. And we formed a new business, Telstra Countrywide, to meet the needs of our regional customers. We know that constantly improving our service is critical. I know we're getting there.
Turn it up. Your Colonel's got the moves with my new popcorn chicken combo.
A carton of the Colonel's new popcorn chicken with chips and a Pepsi, all for just $5.95.
Alley-oop. Go Colonel. Go Colonel.
Because TD Waterhouse is the world's second largest discount broker, our online trading rate is one of the smallest.
Click, call or come in to TD Waterhouse.
I'm here at Hidden Valley to tell you to forget the rest. They're just estates. This is really living. I've seen the rest and they don't come within a bull's roar of this. This is gorgeous. Sure, it may take 5 minutes longer to get here, but when the lifestyle's twice as good, who cares? And with land from just $59,000, that's right, get your jaw off the floor. I said $59,000. What's stopping you? Come out this weekend, sit where I'm sitting. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. Cheers.
This Sport Update brought to you by the rear-wheel drive Commodore. Drive on.
The much-anticipated rematch between 1,500-metre runners Nick Howarth and Craig Mottram has failed to solve selectors' problems on who should run for Australia at the Olympic Games. Howarth was the second Australian home behind Yusuf Abdi, while Mottram finished a disappointing 10th.
The conditions in Adelaide almost as icy as the relationship between Nick Howarth and Craig Mottram, the pair there because of Howarth's roughhouse tactics at the trials a week ago.
Almost falls, a disaster.
Mottram, the likely winner there, a disaster that would cost him an Olympics berth. Howarth later disqualified and so the rematch. Mottram spent most of today's race near the back of the pack, never in it. He finished 10th. Howarth figured in a fast finish, the South Australian, the second Aussie home and celebrating.
I got to say, I haven't experienced too many weeks like this in my career.
A final decision on Howarth's selection expected within 48 hours. And on a knife's edge, sprinter Tanya Van Heer in Brisbane for this weekend's relay camp. She's eager to impress selectors who ruled her 100-metre hit-out during the week was inconclusive. Some work to do on the baton changes, but if she meets her targets, it's likely she'll be included in the team despite missing the trials through injury. A final decision to be made midweek. Nick McArdle, 7 News.
Still on athletics, and world champion Cathy Freeman's impressive lead-up to the Sydney Olympics has continued with a win in the 400 metres at a Grand Prix meet in Brussels. Freeman winning in a time of 49.78 seconds. While her arch-rival Marie-José Perec pulled out of Brussels, the field in the 400 metres was still very impressive. Cathy kicking in the dying stages to hold off Mexico's Ana Guevara. Freeman's time, 49.78 seconds.
Again, another win for Cathy Freeman.
In the men's 400, Michael Johnson showed no signs of that hamstring injury that hampered him at the US track and field selection trials, winning in 44.07 seconds. While Maurice Green scorched down the track in the 100, clocking a blistering 9.88 seconds. Swimming and Australia's final hit-out before the Games is underway at the Melbourne Sports and Aquatic Centre. A short time ago, it was the final of the men's 100 metres freestyle, dual Olympic gold medalist and world record holder Alexander Popov holding out Australia's Michael Klim. Popov's time, 49.59 seconds. Ian Thorpe was 5th. Australia's Susie O'Neill, Laurie Muntz and Elka Graham qualified fastest for the women's 200 metres freestyle. To golf, and Tiger Woods' tour domination continues. The world #1 equalling the course record at the NEC Invitational in the US with a second round 61. Woods holds a 7-stroke advantage over fellow Americans Phil Mickelson and Justin Leonard. Stuart Appleby's the best of the Aussies, a further 5 shots back.
It seems no matter what the mere mortals of the game can contrive, it's just not good enough anymore.
How did that miss?
The class field of 37 weave their shot-making magic to no avail as the Woods phenomenon continued. Phil Mickelson is his nearest rival, 7 shots in arrears.
Oh!
Woods began the assault at the second. He eagled the par 5 for the second day in a row. His tee shot at the par 3 7th set up a 4-shot lead.
A machine could not do this.
3 consecutive birdies, 10 through 12, saw him increase that lead, and a 59 at one stage was on the cards.
Almost perfect.
His birdie at 18 saw him at 15 under after 36 holes. No one had achieved that feat at Firestone in the past, even after 54 holes.
And there's the smile.
And while he strutted his stuff, our own Kari Webb had her putter running hot. Her second round, 11 under par at the Oldsmobile Classic at Michigan, saw her with a 3-shot lead over McMillan at the halfway mark. David Fordham, 7 News.
Today's racing was at Sandown with the feature event, the Group 2 Liston Stakes, run at weight for age. Here are the closing stages.
Go Flash Go in front. Scoozy Please. Dandy Kid coming after Go Flash Go and then Al Delta. But the Go Flash Go is being tackled by Scoozy Please and Al Delta. They hit the line. Scoozy Please got there and one of the nose to Go Flash Go. Al Delta close up third.
Scoozy Please showing the benefit of having Victoria's leading jockey Brett Prebrell on board, just doing enough on the line, beating home Go Flash Go and Adalta. Rugby union fans, the Tri-Nations decided between Australia v South Africa coming up at 12:40 tomorrow morning.
Yes, and Carlton out of the finals. Thanks very much, Jim. Next, our Sunday weather and fantastic fairies having a ball at the bottom of the garden.
A four-wheel drive odyssey through the heart and soul of Australia when Toyota presents The Great Australian Trek. Premieres next on 7.
I'm a control freak. That's why I drive a Commodore. One of the reasons for the control I get in this Commodore, you can get in every Commodore. It's rear-wheel drive. In my opinion, it gives the driver a genuine feel for the road and therefore more control. A large car, built for Australian conditions, like Commodore, just has to be rear-wheel drive.
We went to Wyndham Green and that was like an oasis when we drove in, and this is just the same. The visual impact, as soon as you drive through that gateway, you just know you're somewhere special. Whenever they build a new footbridge or whatever, the quality, it's just amazing. It just surpasses my expectations.
Caroline Springs. See for yourself, because it speaks for itself.
Well, I'm going to be taking full advantage of all the paths around Caroline Springs because I've taken up lessons to learn rollerblading.
Dolphin.